Hey guys, it's your Creative Queen. Welcome to Create with Creative Queen, home of Tutorial Tuesday. Before we dive into today's fun, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you'll never miss a new tutorial. From cakes and cookies to film projects and treats, we've got everything to spark your creativity. Let's get creative and make something amazing together. All right, guys, we are going to attempt to do this without a voiceover. So let's see how it goes. What we're going to do is we are going to make the Easter, well, not Easter. It's actually a gift box that you can make into a card box, or you can just leave it as a gift box. So I'm actually going to do it as a gift box for Valentine's Day. But you can also do it as a card box. So it's totally up to you. Let's get started. This was with 8.5 by 11 paper. So the template has 5 pages. All right, let me grab some foam board. I'm using Hobby Lobby 20 by 30 inch foam board. The template comes with a preview of what it's supposed to look like when it's on the board, both sides. So we're gonna get started. We're going to start with the part that is facing, it's hard to explain, but hopefully I can do that in this video. So the first part is when we put things on, we have to remember that the box folds up. So when you're putting this image on, that's going to be on the opposite side of what this image is. So you have to keep that in mind when you're placing your images. So we're going to start off with placing our front images first. Okay. So that being said, this would be a front image, okay? But that's actually gonna be on the back side. So it's really hard, but we'll get through it together, guys. So honestly speaking, let's go with the back side first because it's gonna flip over. So we're gonna start with the back image. This is what I want facing the rear of my design. All right, so I'm gonna just turn that so I can easily pull it off. I'm using printable adhesive vinyl. It is Koala Glossy. So I'm gonna peel that back, stick it down. And guys, when I use glossy, I know that this is dry, but I still use my transfer sheet to make sure that I don't smear, even though it shouldn't, okay? So we've got the back side on. Next, we have to think about how it's gonna look when we fold. So our fold is going to go here. So we're gonna score here on the back side. You can put a design here if you want to. I'm not going to, but on this box I did. So there's a design on the inside and there's a design on the outside. This box I did not. So we're looking at it like this right now. So this spot is not going to have a design. I don't think I printed one on here. I didn't. But we want to measure to make sure that we get the proper spacing. So this spot is going to be 4 inches from here. So I'm going to mark 4 inches right there. I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, now I'm just gonna draw myself a line. And I'm gonna score across, but I'm gonna grab my gloves first. Hold down, make sure I'm still lined up. And then I'm going to score right across here, okay? I also know that I want to score here. So I'm going to score right across here. Okay. So I've got my first score line. And I also don't need these 2 corners. Now, guys, once you get used to doing these, you don't have to use a whole 20 by 30 board. But for the sake of the tutorial and for the sake of explaining how the template works, I am starting with a board so that you know how to do it yourself. Okay, So we are not going to use this section. So I'm going to go ahead and cut down to my score line, okay? So right now what we've done is we placed our back image on. We can get rid of this. We don't need it. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. And I'm hoping all this is in camera view, guys. I put the camera up there. And I didn't want to do a reverse cam, so that's why I cannot see what you're seeing. So hopefully this tutorial is not being recorded in vain and you're actually going to see it all. I'm going to go ahead and cut all the way across. That's not even, but we're not going to use this piece, so don't stress that. All right, so right now we've got our back, we've got our first score line, okay? And we can go ahead and score all the way over because this is going to give us the visual when we get to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead, finish my score. Remember, you're not cutting all the way through. I'm going to turn it, guys, and I'm sorry for all the movement, but I have to make sure I don't hit the camera and all that. So I'm going to score all the way across. And now I'm going to do my bends just so I know where to go on my other side. So here's my first bend. And here is that second bend, okay? So now we're on, this is our back side. This is our front side that's visible to everyone looking at the gift box. So this is this, okay? So we've got our bend, and now we know where to place our inside pieces so far, okay? All right, guys, hopefully you can still see. I'm gonna use the bend as my guide to place this one. So that's perfect. Hold it down so it doesn't move while you're lifting up the backside. This one's glossy, so it's a little bit slippery, but I'm gonna hold it up. I'm gonna fold that piece back, and then I'm gonna apply that, and I'm going to release the rest nice and slow. And I'm gonna place my paper over, and I'm gonna squeegee so I don't have any air bubbles. Okay. All right, so now we've got our front image, we've got our back image. Let's go ahead and place this image. All right, so right here, we put these on the same page, and that's to save paper. But we're gonna go ahead and separate this. So you see my dividing line? I'm gonna separate those two. Make sure you have enough space on your table to work around with this big board, because you're using the entire board most of the time until you fold it over. All right, so I'm gonna separate this from this. Make sure that's straight. Okay, so this is my centerpiece that I want to reflect at the bottom of my box. So I'm gonna take that here, and all of these are labeled on my template. So this is gonna go here. Hold it down. Vinyl never wants to come up when I'm recording. There we go. Lift it, place it, squeegee it. Okay, checking to make sure we're still recording, and we're good. All right, so we have our bend there, guys, and now we don't need these two flaps, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut them off. We don't need this. I'm going to cut down to my score line. Just be careful. And then you can cut across from your score line. And off, okay? Just going back over. It may be time for me to change my blade, guys. If you have to go through more than once, you want to make sure that you get nice clean cuts. So if you're going through your foam more than once, you're going to get yourself some jagged edges. So change that blade out if you start noticing that. It also could be because I was in the wrong position, which is likely the case. All right, I'm along my score line. Okay. Having some difficulty. All right, guys, so there is a little bit jagged, and that is not the way I operate. But we're gonna clean that up. I'm gonna make sure I get this off because I don't like jagged edges, guys. All right, so here we are. We've got our front, we've got our back, we've got our bend. We are almost there. All right, so now we want to flip this over, but you need to flip it over with the idea in mind that we are not putting anything here and that this image needs to be turned, okay? Remember, we are looking at the back side. This is the back of our design, but when we fold it on the other side, our image will be facing the other way, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. And squeegee. I'm gonna do one more check to make sure we're still recording. All right, so we've got that piece down. And next up, guys, we wanna put our panel that is going to be up here. This is where you're gonna decide whether or not you want this to be a card box or if you want it to be a box, gift box. So for the sake of the video, I already did the one with the slot and it's visible right there. But this one I'm gonna do with no slot. So I'm gonna cut this out. And guys, I gave myself a little bit of a guide for the score line that tucks in. So I put it pink. I made it pink just in case. I'm just gonna cut off the excess. And then we're gonna place this down here. Remember, it needs to be facing opposite of your back photo because it's gonna fold up. So it should match this design, okay? So hold it down. All right, let's squeegee. All right, so I'm probably about to make an executive decision, guys. I like doing things differently, and I want to be able to fold this and close it permanently. So I think I'm going to put a flap on the back. The template, if I like the way this looks, will be available with the flap on the back. But I'm in a real time put a flap on the back. So what I need to do first is I need to cut this out. So I'm going to cut this out so I can visually see how big I want this to be. Clearly this is 6 by 5.5. So if I put a flap on the back, I want it to be a little bit smaller so that I can add stuff in. It actually doesn't really matter. I could make the flap the exact same size. Let's just see what we decide. I feel like I should have done this as a live instead of a tutorial, but we're gonna go with it. So I'm gonna cut this out first, guys, and I'm gonna actually use this as my guide for my window on the other side. So you're just cutting. Guys, to get a good cut, make sure that you position where it's comfortable for you. During a tutorial, it's not as easy for me to get in the right positioning, but you want nice clean cuts so that your foam is cut nice and pretty. We don't want jagged edges, jagged lines, and you guys know I don't like jagged edges, jagged lines. So I'm going to do my best to make sure it's a nice clean cut every time. All right, should pop right out. If you're getting resistance, go back over it carefully, because that means it's not ready to pop out. And if you push it out, you're gonna get a jagged line or a jagged edge. Yeah, I can probably check on the back and see why it's not popping out, which is right there. So these two corners didn't meet. There we go. It's out. So visually, you guys can see where we're going with this so far. All right. In order to visually complete what I want to see, I'm now going to go ahead and score this part, because in order to decide if I'm going to cut out the back, I need to be able to fully see back there. So I've got to get my box almost perfectly done. And this score line is going to go all the way over. It's actually a cut line from here, guys, sorry. So score from here to here, but you can cut all the way over, because this will fold back. This is one of your side flaps. So I scored. Now I'm just gonna cut. Hopefully this is on the video. All right. And then I've got one more score line, which is gonna be from here across, because this is the flap that tucks into the back of the box. So I'm going to score here as well. Remember not to cut too deep. And I'm going to flip this over just because I need to get some of these pieces off so I can fit it on the camera, under the camera. So this can go. This can go. And this can go. Okay, so this is what we look like right now. Back panel. This is the bottom base. This is going to flip and be our front once we are ready for it. Okay. We haven't done anything with this yet, and we are cleaning up little edges. So like I said, I like to be a little bit different. I think I am 100% sure that I want a back flap on this. So we're gonna do that. I'm going to take my cutout for my other one, and I know how far down it is on this side. I am 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. So I'm going to give myself a guide over here of 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. Place that, make sure I'm centered, and I'm going to cut out a back flap, guys. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to be able to close this box and let the customer or you, the seller, be able to pre-make these, sell them to your customer, and then not have to worry about how to get stuff in and out. So I'm going to score to give myself a guide. I'm going to come over to this side. I'm going to score to give myself a guide. And I'm doing this live, guys, but the template will have these lines or the back flap already there. And I'm going to score there, okay? So now I'm going to just follow this with my ruler. Probably really hard to see on camera, but I can see it, guys. And I'm going to cut all the way through. Okay. That's my first cut. Nice and smooth, guys. Otherwise, you definitely will see these lines. Cut all the way through. So this is kind of like the box with the plastic on it. The only difference is we're actually using a box. So I'm just going over those lines one more time, just to make sure that they're actually all the way through. All right. One more here. And now I'm gonna flip it over. On the inside, you could barely see it, but you can see where your lines meet. And that's where we want to put our score line. We are going to score. So score from the top line down to the bottom line. Okay? This line didn't meet, so I'm gonna make it meet. And now what we've done is we've given ourselves a back flap. Should pop right out. Apply pressure so when you bend, it doesn't break. And then you're just gonna clean off anything that did not cut nicely. Okay? So now guys, we've made a back flap on there. We're gonna go back to that later because we're gonna finish the tutorial as is. But that we will go back to, okay? Pardon me, I think I'm coming down with something. All right guys, so right here is our next score line. I believe we scored it, but we did not bend it. So when you're bending in these little tiny areas, you want to use something that's going to apply pressure as you bend so that you don't bend your foam. All right, so I'm going to use my ruler. And normally I would bend it over the counter, but I'm going to do it this way on camera. Just bend it back, okay? And then we're going to do the same for this piece. I'm going to bend it back. I'm going to hold this here and bend it. Okay, there we go. All right, so all that's left now is we need to put on our plastic. I did order some acrylic sheets or some cellophane sheets to go on there, guys, but they did not get here yet, and I did promise this tutorial today, so I'm using cellophane roll. You can use cellophane sheets. They make them in 8.5 by 11. I think they also come in 12 by 12. So the 8.5 by 11 is what I ordered because this is a small box. But I need to place an order for the 12 by 12. So we're going to take some double-sided tape and place it down. Place it down, and we're checking the camera to make sure we're still recording. I always do voiceovers, so guys, I'm sorry this is different, but I did promise this would go up tonight, and I have a lot of stuff to do, so I didn't have time for a voiceover. All right, so I'm just applying my double-sided tape. All right. So now the way I like to put the tape on is the cellophane. Hold it and fold it over so that you get the strongest, tightest pull on your first installation, okay? So now I'm gonna hold it and pull. Oop. Let's try that again. Hold on. This is a different tape than I normally use. All right, so I flipped it over. I'm going to apply that top piece and I'm gonna secure it. And now I'm going to pull as hard as I can towards my bottom. Then I'll do my sides. Okay. The goal is not to have any folds or creases in that window that's viewable to your customer. So if you're noticing it, pull it off and re-adhere it. We don't want that visible. Okay. That's where my piece of tape is missing. So I'm going to pull tight and make sure I smooth, okay? So I think we are good. Now I'm going to just cut off the excess real quick. All right. So we're flipping it back over. We've got our window in, guys. It's nice and clear. Next, we're going to take our side images. So you have one, and then you should have a second one on a page that we cut somewhere. Here we go. Checking to see if we're still recording. We're good. So I'm going to cut these out real quick. Guys, I'm so not wanting anyone to call and cut my signal down. All right, so all the measurements, like I said, are in the template. Now remember, your cuts and my cuts may not be the same, so please allow some grace if that doesn't fully line up, but also take your time in your cuts so that you don't have to worry about cutting too much off or cutting too little off. I'm gonna put the glove on and do this other side because I wanna get this done for you. I definitely cut faster with a box cutter. So I'm just cutting off the other side. That was not close enough. Go back over. All right. So now you just decide which side you want to go where. I think this looks better on this side, and that looks better on that side. So I'm going to apply it. I have a little bit of extra white over here. I did not score this yet, guys, but this is going to score. And then we will go back over the score lines again, but we're gonna score here. And we're gonna score over here. Okay. So I'm gonna place this here, pull that back, and apply it. Making sure I'm careful not to go over. I may have went a little too far out, but this is a video. Things happen. Same thing over here, guys. Apply it and pull out. No bubbles. All right, so now we've got our, that one has a little bit of bubbles. All right, so now we've got our design applied. The reason I didn't cut these off, guys, is because I used Canva to do the design. We're wanting to make sure that it is 100% correct. So before I cut those off and then leave myself with short sides, I always leave them a little bit long just in case. Fold it back, fold it back. We can start our assembly. Lift that up. And guys, I got some double-sided tape on the back, which I am praying doesn't ruin it. Okay. So remember, if you had a slot, this is where your slot would be, but we're not gonna have a slot. So we are just going to visibly hold that together, and we're already coming together with our box. And I just wanted to make sure that my backside lined up properly before I cut that piece off. Oops. So it is lining up to that part, and that's why. We're gonna cut this flap off, guys. I know I don't have my glove on, but we don't need the flap. That's with the measurements. We don't need that flap. Okay, so that's gonna fit perfectly back there. And now everything lines up like I should. So I can go ahead and cut these down because they're lining up perfectly. And like I said, I put a flap on the back because I want it to open. So I'm going to seal this. If you had a card slot in it, the customer's still gonna have to cut or destroy the box to open it, or they're gonna have to pull that front flap up to open it. So we are gonna add the option of opening it from the back and keeping the card box intact. All right, so here we go. Just give you a visual before we close everything off. Make sure we're lined up in the back. I feel like I cut too wide out there. We might be a little wide on the back, guys, but I'll show you how to cut it off, okay? So let's go ahead and glue. We're gonna start by holding that here, and I really hope this is still all on camera, okay? But I'm gonna go ahead and glue this side first. So I'm gonna take my hot glue, and I'm gonna add it right here. But I'm gonna go down from where the window would be, the door would be. So we're about here. Probably just start halfway down. Okay. And you're just gonna take it, stand it up, and that should line up perfectly. We're lining up this top piece, and we're holding. All right, now that that's on, we can go ahead and do the other side. Ready? So I'm okay with doing this side now. So I'm gonna put the glue here, because like I said, I'm gonna seal mine. And I really hope this is on camera, guys. All right, so I'm just gonna press and hold until it adheres. And before you put that side flap on, guys, you have the option of stuffing it now, or like I said, because we did the back door, we can actually stuff it later. So I'm just holding it down to give it time to dry. And let's do a camera check. We're still recording. All right, and now we're just gonna glue down this part. Remember, we scored, so we're gonna have that white piece. And I'm gonna add my glue. All right. We're gonna hold it down. And then here's where you would decide, because there's pink in here, I think I'm gonna grab one of my pink cardstocks. Guys, you can use ribbon, you can use whatever you like. I don't have any pink ribbon, otherwise I would use pink ribbon right now. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to finish off with a piece of cardstock for the flap. Okay, so there is our finished design. We did a box. Now here, I'm gonna go back over and figure out why. I believe I know what happened here. I needed to cut a little bit further back. So I will adjust the template. But we've got a little bit of a lip, and that could just be me cutting differently, but me cutting off that flap may have made that difference. But here is our little flap we've got back here, guys. So I'm gonna pull this open because I didn't add anything to it yet. All right. So we want to get a piece of cardstock. You can use whatever color matches with your design. I'm hoping I have some light pink. I have some I Love You ribbon, but I don't want to use that. So let's see. I'm actually going to pause the video just because I need to grab it. All right, I'm back. I've got some pink cardstock. I'm gonna put my glue gun back up here. And then I'm just gonna cut out, same as I do with my other flaps, probably about a 1 inch by 1 inch piece. It's whatever you guys are okay with visually. It is not required, guys. You didn't even have to add this if you didn't want it. But I like to make things ahead because I have a busy life, a busy schedule. So anything that I can make ahead of time, but still satisfy a customer order is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to cut that to 1 inch. One way, not even an inch. Let's go 1, 2.5. Doesn't have to be precise, guys. This is totally on you and how big you want this to look. But I like it to fold over and out, and that's a little too big. So we're gonna go with 2.25. All right, close that and take this off. So the way I put it on is I will fold it there, fold it over, make sure I like the placement of it, and then I'm going to use my thumb to hold the back part on, but I'm gonna fold this over so I can apply my glue. Okay, so now I'm gonna add my glue. You don't want so much that it's gonna run over the cardstock. Fold and hold that down. And we are done, guys. So you've made a card box that you can preload with goodies and that they don't have to destroy to take apart for Valentine's Day. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close that, apply pressure, and I'm gonna pull that so it'll pop back into place. But we have our box, guys, nice and pretty, nice and see-through. Let's go ahead and load it up with some goodies. So I've got this bear. Let's see if it's too big. It's perfect. It's gonna be hard for you guys to see. I actually can't get this in there, but I could make it a little bit bigger. I probably could. I'm gonna put this in there. I'm gonna put these goodies in there. I know you guys can't see me loading, but if I move the camera, it just changes everything. So we're gonna load it up and then I will turn it around so you guys can see it. Close it. There we go. We can add a bunch more goodies up here, guys. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Like, comment if you guys want to see anything else, please let me know. Have a good one. Bye. All right, guys, there is our finished product. We decided we were going with a gift box with a rear flap so it opens and you can preload and unload and not destroy your box. Guys, the other version is the box that you can use as a card box. There's a card slot. I'm probably gonna add a flap to the back too because I think any design this nice should not be destroyed. So why destroy it when you can open a flap in the back and pull everything out? Hope you guys like this tutorial. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make anything else. Have a great day.